Hello and welcome to the North Carolina Museum of History and the 27th Annual American Indian Heritage Celebration Education Day. Our presenter, Shipman, will start in just a moment, but we want to begin with a few notes. Remember to ask questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to respond to them and share with our presenter. We have many additional resources about American Indians in North Carolina on our website, nc-aihc.com. We thank the following sponsors of the North Carolina Museum of History Foundation, helping to make this event possible. And now, we want to begin. Shipman is a member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. She's an educator, storyteller, and cultural specialist. She regularly presents on Cherokee culture and legends. What are you sharing with us today?
Shionagad Udes Dagwado. Hello, everyone. My name's Shipman, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, give you a little bit of history, and then also share a Cherokee language lesson with you. So maybe if we see each other out and about, you can greet me in my language. So let's begin. So a little bit about myself. I am an enrolled member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, and I live in Cherokee as well as Hendersonville. I know it sounds weird, but I go between both because I work in Cherokee, but my family lives in Hendersonville. I am the Adult Language and Education Coordinator for Kadua Preservation and Education, and I teach adults to speak Cherokee language. I work hand in hand with our first language speakers to teach the language and save our language from death. Yes, I said death, because languages are living things. They can be endangered, they can die, and we desperately are trying to save our language from that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But let me tell you how I started on this journey. So in 2012, I did a bike ride. It's called Remember the Removal Bike Ride, and it follows the Trail of Tears, the northern route of the Trail of Tears. So I took 3 weeks and I rode a bicycle 1,000 miles. Just think about that for a minute. 1,000 miles over 3 weeks. So why do we do this? It gives us an idea of what our ancestors went through. So as we all know, Andrew Jackson signed the Indian Removal Act and forcibly removed Cherokee people from Cherokee land. And it was done over many years, and we commemorate that by doing this bike ride. And it also helps us learn what our ancestors went through. And in doing this ride, it taught me a lot about what it is to be Cherokee, like what my people have gone through. And it sent me on this journey. So I said, so quite a while ago, 2012, yeah, it's 2022. So in that, I got to go to Aotearoa, which is New Zealand. And in New Zealand, I went with some of the other bike riders, and we presented at a conference, and we got to meet the Maori people. Now, if you don't know about the Maori people, their language is thriving. Almost 30 plus years ago, their language was on the brink of death, just like my language. And a group of people got together and said, you know what? We're saving it. We're doing this. We're making it mainstream, and we're bringing it back. And they started teaching it to whoever would come and learn it. And then 30 years later, we went to their school, and they teach strictly in Maori. They don't speak any English. So when we came into the school, we met and greeted everyone, and I couldn't talk because you're not allowed to speak English. So I had to sit there and listen to my colleagues speak Cherokee to the Maori speaking people, and I couldn't say anything. I just had to sit there and listen. And it was a big eye opener for me, because in this trip, I saw how the language gave the Maori people an identity, and it showed them how to live, and it taught them how to be who they are as Maori people. And I came home from that trip and I said, you know what? I've got to learn Cherokee language. It's my language. It's going to teach me more about what it means to be a Cherokee person. So I found an adult language immersion program. At the time, it was called the CALL, the Cherokee Adult Language Learners, and I applied and I got in. And I spent the next 2.5 years of my life learning Cherokee language. I went from knowing 5 words in Cherokee language to being able to hold about a 10-minute conversation in the language. And I finished my schooling because I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I said, you know what? I found it. This is my love. This is my passion. And the job came open and now I run the program. So I'm able to pass that on to other adult learners that want to come and learn more about being Cherokee, learn the language, and help us save it. So like I said earlier, our language is dying. We have 159 fluent Cherokee speakers for the Eastern Band left. Because of that removal, we have Cherokee Nation as well, and they have a little less than 2,000, but they have more people. And then we have the UKB, the United Kadua Band, and they have a couple of 1,000 speakers left as well. So they're all 3 different dialects. So they're the same, but we say things just a little bit differently in each place. So we can still understand each other. We might just say things a little differently. So what are we doing now? I'll talk about that in a minute. So I wanted to give you a little history about Cherokee territory and where we were. You're probably learning about it or have learned about it in school, but this is one of my favorite maps to look at because what it is, if you can see all the different colors, and up in the right-hand corner, it's really small, but if you do a Google search on the Royce map, this will come up, and it shows the different treaties that were, with the government, the U.S. government, and Cherokee people, the different treaties that were signed and the land that was taken or traded within those treaties. So you can see our territory was huge, huge. North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. I mean, it was large. And now we are on a small boundary in Western North Carolina, and that's our homeland. So there were civilization policies that came into play whenever the U.S. government, came in, and we adapted. We said, okay, like we will be civilized, and we will have our own government. We will have our written language. We came up with a written language because it was only spoken, and we will adapt to be who you want us to be. And in doing that, it really did save a lot of who we are. Like I said, Sequoia, he spent 6 years of his life writing down our language and coming up with the syllabary that makes up all of the sounds that are within our language. And that really saved us. We became very literate very quickly because if you could speak Cherokee, you could read Cherokee. And we had the Cherokee Phoenix. It was our own printed publication. And once you learned the syllables, you could read everything that was going on, and it saved our language. And it looks a little different now. You'll see it in a minute. And then, like I said, why did we assimilate? We wanted to live in harmony. We wanted to be here and live in harmony with one another. So I believe, and I wanted to show you guys some of our first language speakers, the people that I work with before we go into our language lesson. And they're just normal people, just like you and me. They just happen to speak Cherokee. They just happen to grow up hearing it like we hear English, or if you grow up in a Spanish speaking house, if you grow up in just a different language speaking house, they learned it like that. And they are a wealth of knowledge, And they're super important to us because they have all the language and we are trying to learn it. So they work with us. They work with us 4 days a week from 8 to 2, and they come in and we ask them questions. We have conversation with them, and they just talk to us and they impart their knowledge. And over the past 3 years, these people have become my family, and I love them. And it hurts to know that our time with them is short and we have to get all the knowledge that we can from them. So here's what our syllabary looks like today. So it looked a lot different when Sequoia first wrote it. And it looked different because we wrote different, right? We wrote in cursive, and it just looked totally different than it does now. Well, because of the Cherokee Phoenix, like I told you, because of the newspaper, the tintype for a newspaper, it doesn't really look like cursive. And it was going to be really expensive to try to make tintype in that. So a lot of the characters that you see today might look like English letters because of that, because it was cheaper to take a capital D and make it that first letter sound in the top left-hand corner, I believe, and it's ah. So it was cheaper to take some of those English or tintype letters and make them, match up to the syllabary that Sequoia had made. So let's do a little practice of sounds because they're a little different than English. So we have our first main sound, which is ah. So everyone say it with me. Ah. Then, and you can see I have up on the screen, it's ah, like in father. And then a. Don't be scared. You can say it. It's okay. And E, O, U, and So it kind of sounds like the vowels in our language, right? A, E, O, U, in our English language. So there's a little bit of, sound practice there for you. So let's go into a lesson. So I wanted to teach you a few phrases that will help you say hello, your name, her name, and your name. What? We'll go over all of it. So let's start with the first phrase, just simply hello. Can you say she-yo? She-yo. Come on, say it with me. She-yo. Oh, sta. So that's just hello. So if you see someone, you can say she-yo, and you're just telling them hello. So the next one, we're going to practice saying my name is. So da, gua, do, Now that's really slow. So let's take it one sound at a time. Da, gua, do, A little bit faster. Da, gua, do, Let's go again. Da, gua, do, Da, gua, do, as a fluent speaker would say it. So they don't even say that last sound. So da, gua, do, So everyone say your name. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. So I'm gonna say Udzaid da, gua, do. Now I want you to say your name. Da, gua, do, So let's say it all together. Shogwo, tal, do. Udzaid da, gua, do. Oh, stop. I know y'all are all doing fantastic. So we have shio, which is hello, da, gua, do, which is my name is. So I told you that Cherokee language is really specific. I think I did, but if I didn't, it is. So that's talking about yourself. What if you're talking to someone and you want to tell them, like, give them a funny name and say your name is. So De za do Now don't be mean, be nice and be funny and make sure you don't hurt their feelings. But de za do De za do De za do So say it with me. De za do Your name is. Okay. So look to the person beside you. I hope you know their name. You can say their real name and say their name. Sally de za do Sally de za do So you're looking right at them and you're talking to that person. So what if you want to tell someone your mom's name or your sister's name or your brother's name? You're going to use do do So let's slow it down. Do 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 and then you speed it up. Do do And that is he, she, or its name. It could be your dog, because in Cherokee language, we don't differentiate in gender. So the third person it could be a he, it could be a she, it could be an it could be anything, because unlike other languages, we don't have a feminine and a masculine sound. So do, do, So think of somebody, anybody, your dog, your brother, your sister. I want you to say their name and do do on 3. Shogo, tal, zo. Chewbacca, do do That's my dog's name. So you have your shio, your hello, your dog would do my name is, de do your name is, do do he, she, or its name is. So now that you can say, hello, my name is, maybe you want to ask somebody like how they're doing. So we have several different ways to do that. So we have the first one, are you good? Just like this is the most commonly used phrase, I think, in my everyday life is o shi gu zu. O shi gu zu. O shi gu zu. Are you good? The second phrase is to hi gu zu. To hi gu zu, which is are you peaceful? And then finally, hayol da zu. Hayol da zu. Are you great? So let's start from the top and we'll practice all of these together. So let's go with the first one. We'll say it slow and then we'll speed it up. Hawa. O shi gu zu. O shi gu zu. Don't be afraid to say it. And let's all say it together. Shogo, tal, zo. O shi gu zu. O sta. Then we go to the next one. Let's say it slow. To hi gu zu. To hi gu zu. And then all together, shogo, tal, zo. To hi gu zu. Are you at peace? And then finally, hayol da zu. Hayol da zu. And all of us together, shogo, tal, zo. Hayol da zu. Are you great? All right, so you have to be able to answer the question, right? And the great thing about Cherokee language is the question gives you your answer. And so if we said Oshigwadzu, Oshigwu, Oshigwu, do you hear the similarities in it? I think so. So let's all practice it together. Oshigwu. Osta. So Tohigwadzu, Tohigwo. Tohigwo. I'm at peace. And then what was our third one? Hayoldazu. Hayolda. I am great. So I'm going to ask the question And then I'll say the answer with you, okay? But I want you to say the answer, all right? So we'll start with Oshigwazu, Oshigwu, Oshigwu. Hold on, let's go to the second one. Tohikwazu, Tohikwo. And then finally, Hayoldazu, Hayolda. Osta. So I have some resources on here because it's really important when you go on the internet to look responsibly, because there is a lot of information out there and there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. So I wanted to give y'all some resources that I know that are good places to go. So you have our YouTube page, which is Odze Kadua, and it's on YouTube. And we put things up and you can listen to our first language speakers, and we put little cartoons up, and you can go on there. Ask parents, of course, because it's YouTube. And then we have a couple of Facebook pages for teacher resources as well. We have Kadua Preservation and Education Program. And then we also have our Cherokee Language Master Apprentice Program page on Facebook that we put pictures up, and that we put, sometimes we put up words of the day, and we let you know what we're doing in our community to further language education. Cherokee Nation, like I said, Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, they have so many resources. And like I said, the dialect may be a little different because they're in Oklahoma, but that's okay. Like, it's still the same language. And if you go to CherokeeNation.com, they have a language section, and they have so many great resources out there for you. And then the new Kadua Academy, which is our school, which I'm going to talk about here in just a second, is our immersion school that teaches our kids Cherokee language. So just like you guys are learning English and math and science, our kids learn that in Cherokee language. So they get to experience school in the language. They still learn English too, and they still speak English, but the majority of their day is in Cherokee language. So that brings me to talking about resources that we have to make in order to make that school work. So we have books that we've had translated. These are our Christmas books that just came out in collaboration with Western Carolina University and their Cherokee language department. They have created these Christmas books for us in the language, and allows our kids to bring home books that they can read. Now, this is probably a second grade, first grade level book. Beautifully written. And you can see up here, it's all in syllabary. And it allows our kids to read like we read English books. And then we got some Charlie Brown. And this is going to get a little more advanced, and I'll show you in here. You can see, how we get a little more writing. So here's our Charlie Brown Christmas book. So, and these are really great because my daughter goes to this school, and this gives us a resource that we can go to bed every night and she can read a book because, she's 6. So she's not really learning English. So all these books, think about that. All of these books in English, and your language, you don't have hardly any books in your language. And so this has been great for us because she can lay down and read these books at night, because she lays down and I have to read the English book, which is good, which is fine, but she can't read it. And it just makes her feel bad. Like, why don't I have more books in my language? So we work to help to bring that to our kids in our community. And then we have some Peter Rabbit. So they grow, and we're always creating more, to give our older kids, books to read. so that they're always continuing their language education. So with that, I would like to read y'all a book in Cherokee language. Does that sound good? Okay, I picked a book that I feel like everybody probably knows the story. So here we go. So Do Iani Zunsti Shikwa. Can you guess who it is? Title page. So Hawan. Shogwo Iyust Do Iani Shikwa Ane He. Agayi Shikwa. Ganula Goshantana Adanela Goni Gile. Go Shishaga. Gani Gile. Taline Shikwa Ada Goshantana Adanela Gani Gile. Zoine Shikwa Naya Goshantana Adanela Gani Gile. Uyoshishka Waya na Edo Hey. Uyo. Uyostane Ganula Goshantana Adanela. Uyostane Ada Goshantana Adanela. Unetlane Uyostoti Naya Goshantana Adanela. Unulane Ayostishka Naya Goshantana Adanela. Nogwo Tohi Anehe Do Iani Shikwa. Remember our Tohi? Tohi. And then in the back, so that our parents that are just learning as well, and for people that don't know a lot of the language, if I can get the glare, I hope y'all can see this, but we have a full translation in the back. It has the syllabary as well as phonetics. The phonetics is just kind of the English writing that makes it easier to read until you learn the syllabary, and then the English translation in it as well. And then I have to share this one because this is one of my favorites. One of our beloved women, Myrtle Driver, she translated Charlotte's Web for us. And she got permission from the author's family to translate it and to print it. And it's just wonderful. So I have to bring the good with the kind of sad of like, we're trying to do everything we can to bring our language to our people, to you guys, and share it so that you can see that we're still here, that we still are thriving, and that we are still using our language every day to teach us who we are, how to live, and how to treat each other. So I have one more page of information for you. It's my information. So we'll give you a second. Oh, someone said I can't see it. I hope you can see it now. Yeah. Okay, we good. So here is my information, my email, my office phone, and then our address for the New Kadua Academy. And on this page, it says Dalagi da Ziwoni Shi Ni Zishka Ihana, which means I will not be afraid to speak Cherokee language. And I live that. I try to live that every day and speak as much as I can, learn as much as I can, and just continue to educate and share and just try to keep my language from dying. So I believe we have time for questions. I wanted to leave plenty of time for you guys to ask as many questions as you want. Now, I want you to not be afraid to ask me things. There is no bad question. Like, I want you to be comfortable enough to ask questions and want to know things. So yeah, so with that being said, I'm going to open up the floor and type them in, send them in, and we'll get to answering some questions.
All right. Can you talk about the origins of the Cherokee language?
The origins of the Cherokee language, I'll speak it in two ways because I went to school for anthropology. So I'll speak as a Cherokee person. It's our language. It's the language that was given to us by the Creator, and we've had it forever. Like, since we have been put on this earth, we've had Cherokee language. Anthropologically speaking, I'll put on my anthropology hat, and it's an Iroquoian language, which is super interesting because Iroquoians are northern tribe, right? So they're from the north. We're down here in the southeast, and there's this, break between us, but it is an Iroquoian spoken language, and we don't know why we're down here and they're up there and we speak the same language. We have the Appalachian Mountains that connect us, but we're not 100% sure. There's, of course, always speculation of why there was a split there. But that's the anthropological answer. But as a Cherokee person, I believe that this is the language that we were given, and it's still here today. So
how many language learners are you teaching now?
So I have 9 adult language learners right now. We just passed a resolution that made our language learners full-time. And then, we have, as Eastern Band, we have our own government, we have our own workforce. And this resolution will allow us to take 14 total language learners. So we have 9 now, and we'll build up to 14. And it allows the people that are employed by the tribe to come into the program, because it's really a labor of love. I mean, yeah, it's great. I get paid to learn Cherokee language, but when you're learning, you're not making the big bucks, but we do it because we love it and we want to save it. But this will allow more people to earn a living wage and learn the language. So we have 9 now, and then hopefully by August of next year, we will have 14.
And children are learning Cherokee in school?
Yep. Nukadu Academy is the immersion school where they learn Cherokee language. Their majority of their day is Cherokee language, K through third grade, maybe fourth. I'm having a moment. And their day, they get 30 minutes of English because we still have to, make sure that they're following, they can, start to learn to read English as well. And then after that, their day goes half and half. And then we have Cherokee Central Schools, which is our bigger school on the boundary, that most of them get 30 minutes a day, K through 6, and then it's an elective whenever they get to middle school and high school, I believe. And then they've also started an immersion program there at Cherokee Central Schools to bring in more Cherokee language to the younger children's day.
And some questions about the Eastern Band of the Cherokee. Do you know the number of members of that? And what is it like to be part of that community?
We have about 16,000 Eastern Band enrolled members, and it's amazing. I mean, the community is small, we're tight knit, and it's been welcoming. I didn't grow up I kind of grew up on the boundary. I was on and off. I was like about half and half of my time there. And, people have welcomed me back and welcomed me into this language community and really has taught me so much. We've lost so much because of boarding schools and because of assimilation policies. And we're reclaiming that. And it's just amazing to be a part of the community, especially right now in the climate that we live in. It's becoming more and more acceptable to reclaim these spaces. And I'm blessed. I am so blessed. And I'm blessed to be able to speak my language and hear my language every day.
So, what's the best thing people can do to support tribal communities and help them as they work to revive and maintain their culture and traditions?
To be an ally. I mean, really, we've started a campaign to rename Klingman's Dome to Kuwoyi, which is the mulberry place, and to reclaim those places and those place names and be supportive of that. To do education days like these and learn about these different tribes that are within our own state and educate yourself so that you know that natives are still here. We don't live in the past and we haven't gone away. And I just can't emphasize enough education, 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 because there are real issues in Indian country right now that will affect everyone in Indian country. There's a Supreme Court case right now, the ICWA case that was just heard last week that has huge implications across Indian country. And teaching those things and making sure the people that are going to be our senators, that are going to be our congressmen, that are going to be presidents, that they know and understand that Native people have been here since before Europeans or Spanish or colonization, and that we are a country of our own, and we need to be treated as such. And just education.
So, how does storytelling and music play into trying to maintain Cherokee language?
Our history was an oral history. Our language was an oral language. I mean, it didn't get written down until Sequoyah wrote it down. And so I think it's super important, and we're discovering more about how our stories link us to the land. We have the story of the dog and the Milky Way, and there's a place in Western North Carolina. It's near Franklin. It's called Watauga, and I spent a summer out there. And like I said, I'm an anthropologist as well, and those stories, the more we're finding out about that place, we believe it's an observatory, to watch the night sky and to create a calendar. And the star constellations that come up, we have stories about those. We have stories about the dog and the Milky Way and how the Milky Way was made. We have, the three brothers. We have the Pleiades stories. And all of that connects us not only to the land, but it also connects our language and connects all of us together.
You shared some resources. Were there any of those or a different resource you'd recommend to learn about Cherokee cultural events throughout the year?
I would say Facebook. Facebook's like it's just a good tool. We have a lot of things on there. The Museum of Cherokee Indians, they have a ton of events every month that they offer. They just had a prominent Native journalist, Rebecca Nagel, at the Museum of Cherokee Indians last night, giving a speech, giving a talk about a lot of the issues across Indian country today. They also have kid friendly events where they, have education days. And now that COVID is kind of, allowing us to come back into the, world with one another, check out the Museum of Cherokee Indians. Definitely. They have events. So
How many students are at the school? that is learning Cherokee?
There are just under 100, I believe, at New Kadua Academy. All the other kids, I can't tell you exactly how many are at CCS, which is Cherokee Central Schools, but their grade level goes from kindergarten to 12 at Cherokee Central, and I don't know their number for sure.
And are other native languages being taught around the United States?
Oh, yes, 100%. There's a big resurgence of, trying to save our native languages and trying to teach them to everyone that we can. The Creek, Cherokee Nation just opened a wonderful facility, the Durbin Feeling facility, that they have babies to grade school children, and that's their facility. Their adult program is in that building. Everyone's housed in one place. I know that the northern tribes, like everyone is really doing a lot to try to save their language.
We're almost out of time, but one last question or thought from you again on what's the meaning and importance of having your own language?
I have learned so much from learning my language. It really has helped me look at the world differently, and it's helped me how I think and how I treat the land. And I think it's so important to keep these languages alive, because like I can't say it enough. Like I know I've said it a lot, but it really does. It tells you, the language tells you who you are and how you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to treat other people and how you should take care of one another and how there should be a bigger sense of community. It's not just all about me. It's about the whole. It's about Gadoogie. It's about the community and taking care of each other and taking care of this planet and taking care of the resources that we have. So it has changed my worldview. It has made me a better person. It's made me a better mother, a better sister, a better wife. It has done all of those things. And, I can't thank the people that have taken me in and taught me these things, because it's just been life-changing.